Hello, and welcome back to Drafted and Distilled, the weekly pour of sports stories and a splash of good spirits. I'm your host, Billy, as always, just a regular sports fan who loves to give my opinion as well as have a drink to mark the occasion. I want to start by wishing everyone a happy holidays and a happy new year from my family to yours. I hope that this year was prosperous and good for all of you, and at Christmas time, you guys got everything you wanted. This is episode number 8, and I'm happy to welcome back all the regulars along with any newcomers, anyone who is seeing this on YouTube or podcast platforms for the first time. I just want to say thank you for checking us out, seeing what we're all about. Here at Drafted and Distilled, we pair sports and spirits in the best way possible with good stories, honest opinions, and a drink in hand. Each week, we pour up a new spirit or cocktail, break down its flavor and character, and then dive into the biggest takes in sports with the mix of insight, energy, and easy humor. It's not too serious, guys, and it's definitely not too polished. Just real talk for fans who love the game and a good pour. So pull up a stool, everyone, regulars and newcomers included, and let's get into it. Each week, we like to kick off this first segment with what's in the glass. Today is a very special day. I'm very excited about our spirit today. We will be trying Makers Mark Bourbon today. It's one that I always wanted to try, but never had the chance to try it. It comes highly recommended from numerous people in my life. I have a couple of bourbon drinkers who I call very, very close friends, and they swear by it. This also, very interestingly, marks our first bourbon on the show. We have tried whiskeys and rum, but not a bourbon as of yet. So what we like to do here at Drafted and Distilled, we like to head on over to the product's website and find out what they are saying about their bourbon or their product. So what Maker's Mark is saying about their product is Maker's Mark is made with soft red winter wheat instead of the usual rye for a one-of-a-kind, full-flavored bourbon. To ensure consistency, we rotate every barrel by hand and age our bourbon to taste, not time, like a lot of other distilleries do. Each and every bottle of Maker's Mark is still hand-dipped in our signature red wax at our distillery in Loretto, Kentucky. So if you've seen a bottle of Maker's Mark, it has a red wax top that you have to peel off before you can get into the bourbon, which is cool, I think. It looks old-fashioned, but it's just a very cool detail in my opinion. So they are saying for the aroma, sweet oak, vanilla, bright fruit, and wheat prevail, in the nose. The taste is sweet with balance of oak, vanilla, and fruity essences. And the finish is smooth and creamy with a pleasant, soft spice and clean finish. So we always start our spirit review here with a good smell. So give us a sec and we'll have a smell. So you definitely get the vanilla sweetness. As you know or may not know, a lot of bourbons and whiskeys, they have that caramely vanilla, really sweet start to their smell, and this one is no different. You do get a little fruitiness, but it's really not heavy, and then you get that alcohol taste or smell right after. Here at Drafted and Distilled guys, we like to try our drinks with Coke and Pepsi, and I know that that's not the proper way to drink these spirits, but that's the way we do it here. So let's have a drink. Oh, that is really good. That is a good bourbon. So again, first time tasting it, first time trying it, um, and you do get the oak, vanilla, and a little bit of fruit there right at the end. That's a good, really good mixing um, bourbon, but just really good. Yeah, I highly recommend that. That tastes quite good. Again, we've talked about this on the show. The different levels of flavors and tastes sometimes get lost. This is another one of those that does a really good job of giving you multiple flavors and allowing you to taste each one. Here at Drafted and Distilled, when we like a spirit or a cocktail, we always say it tastes like more. Guys, this one definitely tastes like more. I highly recommend that. That will definitely go in the rotation as well. Of course, not every drink is for every person. These are just my impressions, but part of the fun of this show is hearing what you guys think. So that's one of the reasons why we do this, is to hear what you think about my take. So check us out on the socials and we'll go over those at the end of the show and let us know what you think. So the next segment of our show is our sports take. So now that the glass is filled, we're going to get into this week's hot take in sports. And guys, today I wanted to break down Major League Baseball. Every year, the GMs and the agents and scouts and players get together in what's called the Winter Meetings. And it's just a bunch of baseball executives and teams getting together in a warm location. And typically, year after year, this is where a lot of the major blockbusters, the major trades happen. So it's something that we're going to go over annually and find out who went where, a lot about how baseball teams are being put together um, in these winter meetings. So this year's winter meetings, all of that being said, this year's winter meetings weren't really spectacular. There were some deals that were okay, but nothing that is going to really, you know, point the compass north for a team. So, role players, pitchers, these kind of things, but nothing that was blockbuster. So, while we're going to be covering the winter meetings, I really want to just cover the whole winter of baseball. Some really good players changing teams this year. Um, some I liked, some that I just didn't care for. And we'll go over both of those. And then I'm going to talk about a couple of teams that I think uh, did things well um, in this kind of winter season session. So we'll go over all of those right now. So the first one, the first player that I wanted to talk about, and again, I currently live in Canada, and the Blue Jays had a very historical run here. It really ignited the country and the city of Toronto, and we're all kind of up to date now on who's going where, who they got, who they didn't get. So Dylan Cease going to the Blue Jays, starting pitcher Dylan Cease, was a huge, huge news story in the news cycles here. Um, and this one was my favorite move move of the offseason. The Blue Jays needed controllable, younger starting pitching. And they got arguably the best one on the market. Dylan Cease is a fantastic pitcher. And I think it was 7-year, 200 million, if I'm not mistaken. And I really liked the move for both the team and the player. He goes to the Blue Jays, who have a great pitching coach in Pete Walker. And here, fans of the Blue Jays are quite excited about this guy coming. He's a workhorse. He's a excellent starting pitcher, and I can see what the Blue Jays were thinking with this deal. We'll talk more about that later. The next one we want to talk about is Edwin Diaz. Closing pitcher Edwin Diaz went to the Dodgers from the Mets. We're going to go from a move I loved with Dylan Cease to this one, and I hated it. And I'll tell you why. When does it become enough with the Dodgers? When you're adding billions and billions of dollars to your roster every year, it's just a rich get richer thing. And yes, players want to play with the Dodgers because they pay a lot of money and they win World Series. They've won 2 in a row now, and they're going for 3. And why wouldn't they want Edwin Diaz? He's an elite closer that literally puts fear into opposing lineups in the later innings. And he will help the Dodgers with the three-peat possibility. But if you look at the rest of baseball, the haves and the have-nots, the gap is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And it just has to come to a head at some point. They can't just get every single great player in baseball and continue to rack up luxury tax penalties without some kind of consequence, in my opinion, of course. Now, again, the Dodgers aren't doing anything wrong. They're using the system the way that it's designed, and they're deferring money and deferring money and deferring money. They're deferring $1 billion in payments to years later. And again, they're not doing anything wrong with that. But I just don't feel like the competitive balance in baseball is going to, you know, be helped by the Dodgers in the current way that the system is. So that's my little rant. Again, a great player going to a great organization. Don't get me wrong, but I would have loved to seen him go to a team where you're building something, and that's my opinion on players as a whole. The next one we're going to talk about is Pete Alonso to the Orioles. And this one, again, sometimes this doesn't happen, but I really love this deal for both sides, both the player and the team. The Orioles had a terrible year last year, and they were expected to be in the mix for the AL East title, but they just weren't. I don't know if they came in last. I think the Rays may have came in last, but they needed to do something different. Now, Baltimore has a ton of young, talented players, and I really love the fact that they brought in a veteran who has played in playoff baseball in really important games in October. So I really just love this for both sides. Pete Alonso had an up year for him in his stat groupings. He hit 272, 170 hits, 38 home runs, and 126 RBI. I was worried that the reason why he wasn't getting long-term deals with the Mets was because of his age. He's middle 30s now, and but he's still a solid first baseman, and there is lots of talk during research for this that he will win a Gold Glove at first base at some point. So the upside of bringing him in is good. There are downsides when he doesn't hit home runs. He does strike out quite a bit, but we will see how it goes. And again, I really did like this for both sides. The next free agent signing we're going to talk about is Kyle Schwarber staying with the Philadelphia Phillies. I really loved this move for Kyle. Yes, we're on a first name basis. I thought the best place for him was back in Philly. He has grown this aura around him of being the best power hitter in baseball, or one of them, depending on your perspective. And the fans adore him there because of this. And if he went to another team and it didn't start off very hot, it didn't start off with this aura about him, I think he would struggle. I think he would be out of his element, and it just would be very difficult for him. And I thought staying with Philly, staying in that clubhouse, they can still win a World Series. They have the talent there. Was the best option for him. Plus, don't forget, he is a full-time DH now. He doesn't play in the outfield or first base or any other position. And if he went to a team that had an injury and needed him to do that, it would have been not great. Because those days are just over for him. He's very good as a DH and he hits a lot of home runs, and that's what you want him for. The next deal I want to talk about, this was a trade. And I really liked this trade. This was Wilson Contreras going to the Red Sox. I was a little surprised that they were able to trade for him. He was a cornerstone player for St. Louis. And given the division that they play in, it's a weaker division, and almost every team can get hot and get into first place. So I was a little, not weirded out, but surprised, let's call it, that he was able to be obtained by the Red Sox. The Red Sox got a very good defensive catcher, and he will definitely help with their pitching staff. He is a Silver Slugger Award winner as well, which will be easy for them to place him up and down the lineup. It's always good to get above average to elite bat in your lineup. Every team wants to do that. He has excellent bat to ball skills, and the fans will be happy to have him, I think. Again, he's shoring up a premium position at catcher defensively and offensively, as being a major cog in their lineup. The AL East teams, this might be bad for them, loading up with a player of his caliber, but we will see, of course. So those are my favorite ones, except the Edwin Diaz one. I really didn't like that going to the Dodgers. But there are a few free agent signings that were very, very interesting to me. So I went through all of them, and there's so many. It would take hours to go through on this podcast, but there's two that were very, very interesting. The first one is Adolis Garcia, which I thought was going to go back to the Texas Rangers. He actually went to the Phillies. And this one was very interesting to me because he's still relatively young, but I kind of feel with this guy, he is on the backside of his career. His home run totals and batting averages have been going down consistently for the last 3 years. Now, we're not talking about huge jumps down, but they are going down, and progression is something that you look at year to year. He also won't be getting any faster or more athletic as he gets older, and I just I was very curious about this. He can be a liability at the plate at times, and he can certainly hype himself up to a point where he's making errors and mistakes in really important moments. So that'll be interesting to see how that takes place, especially when they're playing September baseball, October baseball. The Phillies had a terrible outfield last year. They were bad. One of the worst in baseball, top 10 worst outfields in baseball. Garcia still has a cannon for an arm, and one of the best arms in baseball, if you will, and he'll be solid there for him in right, I think, or if they move him to left. But there's been a lot of talk about him and to him, and he's convinced that he's the piece that's going to get them to the World Series. I don't agree with that. Yes, one player can take over games. I just don't think he's that guy. I don't think he's that guy anymore. If he was that guy in the past, again, he's been very good with the Rangers, and I thought the best fit for him would be the Rangers, but only time will tell on how this works out for him and the Phillies. The next one is very interesting to me, and that is Munetaka Murakami. He played in Japan the last 8 seasons and was posted by his Japanese team to come to the US and play. And he was billed as the best home run power hitter in Japan. And he hit 246 home runs across 8 seasons. For the Japan leagues, that is a lot. And again, I thought he would have multiple suitors. I thought there would be lots of teams lining up to pay a lot of money to get him. And that didn't happen, which was very interesting to me. So the Texas Rangers were rumored to be very interested in him. Murakami's 2 positions, first and third, were 2 of the Rangers' offensive weak spots last season. So why didn't he sign there? Without a doubt, finances were certainly a major factor. He was asking for quite a bit. And the Rangers this year are really being cautious with what they spend. And Murakami would have been, like, right from the beginning, the 5th highest paid player on their team. And Texas just wasn't able to justify that, to be honest. But again, we're talking interesting here. So this isn't just about finances. So while he hits mammoth home runs and bunches of them, Murakami has seen his strikeout rate increase significantly over the last few seasons, while his on-base percentage and walk rates have declined. Even more alarming, Murakami's 72.6% in-zone contact rate would have been the 2nd worst in baseball last year. I really think he's going to have some highlight moments, some welcome to the majors moments in 2026, including some very impressive home run shots. But I just don't think he's going to be the next great player to come out of Japan. When a Japanese baseball player recently has come out, they have been some of the best there. Shohei Ohtani, Yamamoto pitching in LA, these are elite players, and I just don't think he's that, which is why he didn't get more teams, foaming at the mouth trying to get to him. And he signed with the White Sox, which is an organization that currently is on the bottom of the standings. I think what's going to happen is he either is going to be a piece that he's going to have a great year and he's going to be a piece that they're going to want to build around, or they paid for him so they could trade him for assets down the road, which is kind of what the White Sox MO has been over the last few years, to be honest. Um, it's going to be interesting, to say the least. So we went through a few of the signings in one trade that I wanted to talk about. Now I want to talk about two teams who have done things in a way that have enlightened their fan base a bit. Enlightened maybe not be the right word, but excited for sure. I want to talk about the Blue Jays. Again, I live in Canada and I want to continue to praise what they're doing. The buzz around this team in Canada is electric. And going to the World Series last year certainly was part of that. And it was very, very fun to watch as a fan. And the country is excited for more. The country wants to see the Blue Jays in the World Series again with the chance to win. Every move, every transaction that they make has really been under a microscope here. And I had mentioned before, I love the Dylan Cease move. They have been mentioned to be really aggressive on Kyle Tucker, which is, again, I'm going to use that word. It's very interesting to me because in Kyle Tucker, they're going to get one of the best right fielders in baseball, which when you have the moment, you need to go out and do that. He is an excellent fielder, 5-tool player, excellent at the plate. This is a guy you want on your team. He works really, really hard, and he would be a perfect piece for this franchise. But, and there's always a but, of course, guys, I can't help but think, and it's more of a fear, to be honest, than a think, that the closer Kyle Tucker gets to being a Blue Jay, the further away Bo Bichette is to being here. We love Bo Bichette around here. And I mean in Canada as a Blue Jay. Him and Vlad, I've talked about this before, they are cornerstones for this franchise. And I worry that the more free agents you bring in, the more you're going to push these guys out. And they're cornerstones. He is a cornerstone. Now, say what you will about his defensive metrics and that he's not a shortstop. He's kind of our shortstop. And we have Andres Jimenez, and he can go to second. He previously said that he wants to stay in Toronto. So no clue if he is still on that train, because he has now told other teams that he will play second base, which kind of opened up a market for him. Like I said, he's a heart and soul guy here, and we need Bo back. I would like to say, let's get both Tucker and Bichette. But it's not my money, and no one's listening to fans, obviously. And I know that money doesn't grow on trees, and there's taxes and thresholds that can't be met no matter how much the fans want them to be. If they let Bo go to another team, I think they would regret it. and he was part of getting us to a World Series. Why would you give up on that? Is one question. The other question is that the New York Yankees want him to come and play shortstop, which is his natural position. And they have deep pockets. And I don't want to face him 20 times a year and have him destroy the Blue Jays and make it his mission because they gave up on him. So that's the first team that I wanted to talk about. And again, there's so many things that go into this. This is just one fan's opinion. The other team, the final team I wanted to talk about is the Mets, New York Mets. So in baseball, in years past, the Mets and the Yankees, deep pocket teams, and they go and they spend and they spend and they spend every single winter and bring in players. Now, that rarely works. Um, it's usually a case that after a few years, they're trying to get these salaries off their books to go after different players. And that's kind of where the Mets are this year. So David Stearns, their GM, no, not the NBA David Stearns, but the baseball David Stearns, is being really aggressive this winter. He has gone to great lengths to break up an underachieving core of players. Pardon me, that besides 1 year, they did make a really deep playoff run 1 year, hasn't really lived up to the money they've earned. Like I said, they have the money and the resources to bring in whoever they want, any year they want, but they're not. Which, like I said, again, flies in the face of how New York teams have operated in the past. It seems like David Stearns, again, their GM, has a plan to build and win without spending billions because sometimes it doesn't work. And yes, that is a dig at the Dodgers specifically. They are getting roasted in their trade grades. Pundits saying, oh, they got taken. Oh, they should have gotten more for this player or this player. But these moves are obvious salary dumps. And I really like the direction. So, a little bit about me. I love it when a team puts resources into building a farm system, puts resources into homegrown talent, and wins. That's one of my favorite things. And I love watching that. And it seems like the Mets are putting the brakes on spending to start building a winning organization, which they haven't had in a lot of years. So, very excited to see what will happen now. Keep in mind that this is the Mets and they can just start spending again because they have more money than most teams besides the Dodgers. So it will be very interesting to me to see where they go in the future and really how far they're willing to take this kind of breakdown. And guys, that's my take, my sports take for this week. I love baseball. I can't wait until baseball comes back. It's a longer season, and I really enjoy that quite a bit. So it's been fun diving in, researching for this episode to get into all these trades and signings and what teams are doing. Before we close things out, each week we preview what's on tap for next week. And next week we're going to be jumping into one of my favorite rums. It is a dark/spiced rum, and it's Kraken. And it's back here, right here on the shelf. We will be breaking down what to look for, how it tastes, how to get it, and why it might just become one of your favorites as well. On the sports side of things for next week, something to look forward to, we are going to do another top 10 list. You guys seem to quite like the top 10 list, so we're going to do another one. And I want I want to keep doing those. They're fun for me as well, doing the research on them. And if you guys like them, let us know and we'll keep doing them. We won't do them every week, but every few weeks we can certainly do one. And this or next week's top 10 is the top 10 athletes who were much must watch in their prime, pardon me. So the top 10 athletes who were must watch when they were in the prime of their careers. So think about those, and next week you'll get to hear mine. You guys can find me on the following social media platforms. So Instagram at drafted_distilled, on X, draft and distill, Facebook under drafted and distilled, and this is episode number 2 going on YouTube again under drafted and distilled. Be sure to like and follow on all of these platforms. It helps us out, lets us know how you guys think we're doing. And again, one of the main reasons why I wanted to do this show, this podcast, is because I wanted to interact with you guys. We want to have your fun but respectful comments. I got to stress that, the respectful side of things, but we want to know what you think on what I think, your take on my take. So go to the platforms, let us know who you are, where you're from, and what you think. Once again, guys, I'm Billy. This has been Drafted and Distilled. We want to wish you and your family a happy holidays and a happy new year. And until next time, stay smooth, stay spirited, and I'll see you guys next round.